ett gediget scenprogram här på Tech Arena och Innodex som startar nu klockan 10. Och, mitt namn är Magnus Marstam. Jag kommer rodda med en hel del presentationer, men också vill jag introducera Sasha von Peters. Sasha Peters. Welcome, and the stage is yours. Introduce your first theme.
Is this working?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. So I'm the first in the presentation. I feel very honored to be here for the, I don't know, 10 times in the last decade, preparing this show for you. It's still on, the micro? Okay. I bring a lot of new materials for you with me. We have 3 or 4 focus areas. One is sustainability, one is smart materials, then we have a lot of additive stuff, and we have materials for new, let's say, new mobility. And I would like to start saying a word about the bio-based sustainable materials we have in the show. My name is Sasha Peters. I come from I'm running a future agency called Haute Innovation in Berlin, and we are constantly observing the market for new materials. I would start with something probably you experienced in the last months and years as well. I was invited for a lecture in Brazil in August. When I flew into the airport, I saw from the window this, and there was fog. When I exit the airport, I asked the guy, "Oh, do you have forest fire around here?" "Yeah, it was too dry in the last months." "Too dry in Sao Paulo? This is more like a rainforest area." Then we had an exhibition in Italy in July, earlier in the summer. We pass Austria. Remember the 2 weeks rain or 3 weeks raining? It was like this, south of Austria. Terrible destruction to infrastructure, to the streets. Look, this is Austria. Then we made holidays. After the show in Italy, we went to Greece by car. Terrible forest fires west of Athens. We had been on an island in the west, so no problem with that, but the news was quite destructive to my head to see. And then 2 weeks ago, probably you have heard about that, this is Acapulco, a storm with a speed up to 300 kilometers per hour, destroyed the whole city. I haven't been there, luckily. So, again and again, I'm showing that image. So we are overstepping ourselves, and we know that for years now. In 2020, we took 160% of the resources of the planet, and this year it's about 175. So our way to go from one point to another should be changed. This is, by the way, a highway near Beijing. Lot of cars. And last year, the 8 billion person on planet was born, and we will end up with 10 billion in 2050 and 60. So we need now to do something to reduce emissions. You all have heard about that. For some of the people in Germany, the change is too slow. So they glue themselves on the street. This is a Potsdamer place in June. And they did this on 100 different places in the city. One big traffic jam. Are they right or wrong to do that? And the police, so I show that picture in Brazil, they asked myself, what are they doing? They glue themselves. So tear them down from the street. No, it's not allowed. They need to get the street off to take them off. Interesting. So we need to reduce the CO2 emissions down fast. One idea is to pump this, so to collect the CO2 and pump it down under the sea, somewhere in the Baltic Sea. They are starting, INEOS is starting a project in Denmark. They say they take industrial emissions from Belgium, bring it to the Baltic Sea and pump it down. So obviously it works technologically. But this will take years to do so. I've heard this year that there's a first CO2 storage collection, something worked in the US as well. So they collected with chalk, stones, something. But it's just the start. Maybe you've heard about Iceland. Yeah, Iceland, the volcano. This is near to the volcano area where they collect CO2 emissions and pump it down with hot water down to a depth of 2,000 meters, and then it takes 2 years that the CO2 mineralize with the stone, and then you have a mineral in the stone and you can do something with it. But also, this is just the starting point. In Germany, we discuss now that we have to store CO2 by using more wood in construction instead of concrete. And there are some examples of this built in the last years. This will be the highest wood concrete mixed tower in Germany, built in about 3 years. This is Kreuzberg, by the way. So there's a lot going on in this, a lot of ideas. But what can we do now to reduce the CO2 emission? In this context, the plastics industry can play a role. I say that because the conference I was invited to in Brazil was a plastics conference, so I talk about that. And we found quite some interesting materials and applications coming from Northern Europe. For example, we have a wash basin on display. You see it there. Just made from resources from wood, so wooden chips and the resin from coming from wood. It's not biocircular, but it's 100% based on wood, and it reduces the CO2 emissions by about 95%. 95%. They also do toilet seats and bath. So with the toilet seats, you exchange ceramics. With a bath, you exchange plastic. That's not such a high CO2 emissions. Then we found a material in the Netherlands. It's up there in our exhibition. They develop it as an alternative for aluminium in traffic signs based on hemp fibers, which are quite good to grow in the Netherlands and have a positive impact to the ground, by the way, and PLA as a matrix. CO2 emissions, 99%. And they give a warranty to use the traffic sign outside for about 10 years, 100% bio-based. With hemp fibers, so the law is changing in Europe so that you are allowed to grow hemp, and then you can use almost the whole plant for different kinds of applications. You can use the fibers, for example, for technical products like ski, like a pallet. We have a pallet there, an ordinary logistics pallet. Try to put it up. Then you see how less weight it has. We found an example of using wood or paper in Göteborg. This is on display just behind you. It's coming from Paper Shell, a composite where they press paper, 100% paper, nothing else added, plastic free, to have a very strong material to make, I don't know, longboards from it or seats, and they will bring it into the car interior. Maybe that's something for you. So they have a project run to Paper Shell and Polestar. So they are going to bring this material into the car industry. We found a research project run by Fraunhofer LBF in Darmstadt, where they use organo cheats from natural fibers in the battery industry. In this application, it's a bicycle frame. We have this on display further down. 30% weight reduction and a lot of emissions saved by using the natural fibers. Yeah, and that's the big picture we have for our society and the economy in the EU. With the European Green Deal, we will try to achieve a fully closed circular economy with a natural circle and a technological circle. The natural circle for all the material which are coming from nature and should stay natural, to bring it back into nature, and the technological circle for all materials that use a lot of energy to produce ceramics, metals, and synthetic materials like plastics, which should be run in fully closed circles. In the natural circle, we see a lot of innovation potential right now, and I showed you some examples. And now, up to now, we haven't found so many examples in the US, but maybe they are starting right now, because Biden said a couple of months ago that they will invest a lot into the shift from ordinary plastics into biomaterials, and they will replace 90% of them in the next 20 years. And that's quite a strong picture, a strong aim they have. And then we found some good examples of American startups using, for example, PHB, coming from bacteria in the plastics industry, and they give also the number. So you can buy these things, and they give the number of the CO2 reduction on their website right now. So they started to this transformation process. So the most far-reaching material innovations we are going to see in the biological circle, that's for sure. And especially the northern countries are doing a lot, because you have a lot of forest, a lot of cellulose. So why not using the cellulose for something instead of building houses or doing paper from it? Stora Enso, one of the biggest wood-based companies in the world, when I understood it right, they put a lot of effort into research. So they found a way to create a biodegradable foam from cellulose to use in packaging instead of styropor. You can bring back the materials into the biological circle. It's on display. We have it there. This is a fantastic example of how the world is shifting into a circular economy. Then we found something in New York from a designer from Vietnam, Uyan Tran. She is running a startup company, Tomtex, producing or using chitin as a resource. You find chitin in mushrooms, in crab shells, and she found a way to produce a leather-like material from it. Leather-like material, probably also something for the automotive industry. That is something a lot of companies are now into, like Nuvi from Germany, fully biodegradable, a perfect match to exchange the synthetic material in the furniture industry, but also in the car industry. Then we found this. A very interesting material is mushroom, and you have heard a lot, maybe in the last years, to grow the mushroom into molds and use it for insulation or construction or packaging. But in the technical field, we haven't seen so much good examples up to now. Studio Mom from the Netherlands did this crash helmet from mushroom, just mushroom, and the food the mushroom needs to grow. It needs about 3 to 4 days to let the mushroom grow into the mold, and then yeah, of course you need some textiles and bandage, and then the helmet was ready. It's down there on display. You can see the one 100% biodegradable and returnable into nature. We found a packaging company from Finland, Zula Plast, also using wooden cellulose to produce this little packaging, plastic-like storage boxes, 100% biodegradable. We have them on display. You can't believe, so when you see them, you don't believe that this is a biodegradable material. Then we found a company in the center of Germany, somewhere near Hanover, Golden Compound. They use the hulls of sunflower, so the cores you eat and the hulls are left. You normally buy just the cores, and they use the hulls as a reinforcement in the plastics industry. So a bioplastic reinforced by the hulls, that was the first stage. And then they found a way to combine the hulls with PBS. PBS is a biopolymer which is water repellent, and when you dig it into the ground, then it starts to degrade. But it needs some bacteria, and the bacteria is coming from the biodegradation of the sunflower hulls. So it's reacting on the partner you use to produce that plastic part like the sunflower pot. So when you bring the sunflower pot into ground, it starts to biodegrade, and that's a perfect example of how and where to use these kinds of materials. Then we have the 2 car seats of BMW on display, where in one of these a bio-based and very interesting material is used called nanocellulose, We had Biobucha on display last year in the exhibition. Maybe you have heard about kombucha, the tea, where the mushroom is growing on top. You drink the tea, but the mushroom, you don't do anything with it. So the mushroom is something where you can get materials from. When I understood it right, this is the mushroom which you can get out of the tea production. And then you have a leather-like material which is used in the seed. I think this is what you can also feel when you look to the seed. I've heard that Biobucha or Bucha Bio, I don't know, it's Biobucha, right? They are setting up a production line, scaling up the production. It's a startup company, of course. A long way to do for them, but very interesting material. I have a material, we found a material in Norway, by the way. That's something what you can also use. Agroprene, a Norwegian, Danish company, they produce a foam for seating, 100% based on algae. I don't know if it's biodegradable. Should be, looks like. We have some other examples on display as well. They told me that they do also eggshells. So they bring eggshells into the foam. I don't know exactly what this does to the material. Probably they need a shark. And they have some other natural ingredients in the materials. This is a startup company founded 2 or 3 years ago. Of course, they can do some foams in these sites, but maybe they need to scale up the production as well as the Biobucha company. Then we found another example from Stora Enso, where they use the lignin. Maybe you've heard about that. A lot of graphite is coming from China, and China start to restrict the export of graphite. So they had the idea of why not using resources from Europe to produce graphite, and they use the lignin, which is coming from the wood industry, to produce graphite for anodes in batteries. They sent us just the powder, not the battery. It's in the, yeah, you are standing there. It's in the bottle. A very, very, very interesting example of how the European industry is observing the market and for bio-based resources to have ideas and solutions to reduce CO2 emissions. Thanks for listening to me. 3 minutes left for answering a question, if you have any. Yeah. Otherwise, you can just walk around, and Vasilka Mandova is having her presentation about the car seats from BMW in about 2 minutes. Yeah, thanks for listening to me, and be back. Thank you.